Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. Oh, yeah, looks like we know. Well, we might know. I feel pretty confident about it. Not 100%, but pretty confident we know about the Wsft acquisition. This is a big deal, and it makes sense when you see it. And we're going to get all into that. We're going to talk about Ilus. We're going to talk about Wsft, the future of both companies. So let's get into the mighty Ilus. Who is this ugly bastard right here? Oh, Lord, that's a little scary.
Mighty Isis.
All right, our boy Eigel is coming through with more due diligence. He doesn't miss much. It says updated Ilus due diligence document with full details on the ERT spinoff, which is the IPO of Wsft. Now, they don't know if that's going to be the ticker name, QIND, but it could be. Of course, that's the SPV that we know about, that they're going to reverse merger with this new company, which we know now is going to be, well, we think it's going to be Quality International, which is in the United Arab Emirates. That would make sense. As you know, they do a lot of business over there in the Middle East. Revenue, $100 million plus in 2021, on track for $200 million. That would make sense. Over 10 million square feet, etc. So all this looks really good. And then if you look at the pictures, there's the front cover of ERT, which is the company that will be over top of Wsft, which Ilus owns both. I think they own 100% of ERT and like 70+% of Wsft. As you can see, the pictures match. They're identical of Quality International. So, I mean, the odds of that. But that's, you know, that's pretty identical right there. So our boy Eigel's coming through with great due diligence once again, it appears to me. And one of the things that I noticed on Discord the other day, and I've been kind of going through it, it's really great due diligence on Ilus itself and really all the parts of it. It's got a ton of information in it. And it actually, this is what it looks like. And it starts out here, it talks about Ilus, and then of course it gives you all the pink sheet, current information on it, etc. And you go through here and you can see all the big players in it. Here, this is pretty interesting here. This is the patent for the water mist technology and the water mist gun. Here's Bullhead. Here's Georgia Fire and Rescue. There's BCD Fire. There's Precision Powered Products. Basically all the companies that Ilus now owns. There's E-Raptor, etc. I mean, all down through here. There's the Vera drones. Here's the layout of Ilus. And then here's ERT with Wikisoft Wsft, which is underneath ERT. And as you can see, they show the IPO going to the NASDAQ. They show Ilus heading through the OTCQB, heading to the NASDAQ. Here's another SPV they have under ERT that's not been announced. And then there are several more under here, under these subsidiaries. So there is just a ton of information on this due diligence. Here's a lot of their products. That's the Mongoose. I've showed you that before. That's a really cool product. Then, of course, here's your mist nozzle again. So if you go on Discord, like I said, Eigel puts that up there and uploads it. So if you want to look through that, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time on it, and there's just so much information about Ilus. It's some of the best due diligence I've ever seen for a microcap ever, OTC. You really don't get this kind of information that's this in depth. So I found it very useful. And I appreciate Eigel doing that. I mean, that's very useful. And one thing that's got me pretty darn happy today on Ilus is it's updated perfectly on their outstanding shares. It has not gone up any at all. It stayed the same. And it's the date is the 24th. That's what I want to see on OTC markets. I love it when it's got the same date. I do not like it when it gets behind. That makes me uncomfortable. So that's good. That makes me happy.
This calls for a little of the bubbly.
And as we take a look at Ilus's chart, it's sitting down here at about 9 cents, just right at 9 cents. It was up about 3% on Friday. Gosh, everything ran up Friday. That was a huge day. I hope your portfolio went up. Mine certainly did, and I hope yours did too. Anyway, it's bounced off this support at 7 and sitting now just under 9. And hopefully over time, this thing will start working its way back up. Let's take a look at Wsft. And as you can see, it ran up 19% on Friday from 27 up to 31, 32 in that neighborhood. So that was a real nice run. I missed this freaking thing. I had a chance to get it down here in the middle teens, but I think I told you this. I was out playing golf and I missed it. Yeah, that was a real pisser. That made me mad. And see, I had my phone with me, and normally I'll check it on a regular basis, but I didn't that day because I was playing good.
We got all of that.
Yep, I was playing good, and I got too focused, and I missed it. But here's the thing, even though I don't have WSFT right now, I might at some point, but I still own part of it because I own Ilus, so I'm not going to get too upset about it. But this one's going to be pretty interesting to watch because the float's not too high on it, and the market cap's not too bad either, especially when you consider a $100 million company. Now, let's understand something. They're not getting that company for free. So the way my understanding is, the investors in WSFT are basically buying the company, and then they'll own a big chunk of WSFT, and they may end up owning some Ilus too, I would think. So I believe that's how it's going to be handled. I do not know that for sure. We have not gotten all the details, but I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of preferred shares in WSFT. There'd have to be. Otherwise, why would you buy a $100 million company and then hand it over to WSFT? You wouldn't do that. But normally there's restrictions on that. So there's, typically a time period before any of those could even be brought into the outstanding shares. So just keep that in mind about WSFT. And fortunately for us with Ilus, our boy Nick Link got ahead of the game, and on April 5th, he wrote a letter to the investors stating this. And this was one of the smarter things that he's done, especially given the fact that people like to attack OTC stocks about their preferred shares. And he says, my holding company holds 390 million of the common shares, all the preferred A, preferred D, and preferred E, and we have not sold a share and do not have plans to sell any. Our interests are mutually aligned, obviously, with the investor. So that was a pretty big deal and very useful, and it's made me a lot more comfortable owning Ilus. Now realize when you own a penny stock, if you'll remember, this company went from about 5 cents up to about 45 cents, right back here. And like I said, I got it at 5.5, and it ran all the way up here to over 45 cents. So I was up 900%. Now, why in the world I didn't take a portion of my shares there and at least sell it somewhere in here and take some profit? Then I could have come back later if this thing did pull back, and I could have loaded back up and kept some profit and had really a no-risk situation to speak of. But unfortunately, greed got on my shoulder and said, oh, well, if it went up 9 times, it could go up 20 times. And sometimes you just got to take some profit and be smart about penny stocks because they like to do this. And I kind of blew it on that one. So don't make my mistake. If you get an opportunity to make 9 times your money, you don't have to sell it all. Just take some of it off. That way you're trading with no risk. I kind of blew it on that one, but live and learn.
Pain.
And oh, by the way, if you want to know what's going on with Ilus, it's getting shorted like crazy. Look at that volume right there. 65% volume was the 23rd. So they're shorting the crap out of it. So that's what's keeping this stock down, is just tons of shorts that are trying to push it down. And then if they push it down far enough, then they'll try to run it up by buying it. But that's what's going on with Ilus. That's why it's kind of stuck down there in the doldrums. But one good thing for small caps and micro caps is if you look at the PE ratios of these companies, the large caps have come down from 23 down to 15 PE ratio average. The mid caps have gone from a high of 23 down to 11, which is really darn low for mid caps. And then this is unreal. The small caps have gone from 27 down to about 10, and that equals where they were during the height of the Rona fear, and darn near as low as the 2008 worst crash that we've ever seen in our generation, basically. So I do think at some point we're going to see a rebound in that, because that doesn't make any sense. That's an oversell, and a lot of micro caps and a lot of penny stocks and small companies out there have been oversold, and at some point that's going to turn around. The history of that just tells you that. Plus, I feel good about Ilus. Now, it's a penny stock, so remember that. You got to take risk into account. And I practice the 10% rule. I only put 10% of my portfolio into the OTC and 10% into crypto, and that's it, 20% total. The rest goes into stocks that I don't have to worry about so much. But, there are some great benefits if that thing takes off. So, like I say, that's just what I do. It's your money. You do as you please. All right, folks, that's Ilus today, and I think that's real good information to know that about WSFT. It looks like that's probably the case. I'm pretty excited about the entire venture. So if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Ilus and WSFT and and ERT in all of them. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.